My friends, I don't know where you are right now. Maybe it's early in the morning for you right now. It's about 10 p.m. for me. But whether you're watching this live or whether you're watching the recording of it, I know that you have a lot of stress in life and a lot of things going on. But this is a time just to relax, forget your problems, have a good time, as is the philosophy with all my videos. And we're going to have some fun tonight. And we're going to talk about what's been going on and a little bit about what we have going on here in the future on this channel. As you guys get into the room, you can chat with us and ask us some questions live here. But I was actually supposed to do a broadcast tomorrow night. That was the plan. So this is kind of a last-minute impromptu thing. And I was going to release another video tonight, but I think there's more to the story that I have to follow up on. I don't mean to start this broadcast off with some bad news, but we had a theft. But don't worry, we're going to try and turn it into a positive thing. This isn't as bad as that one that I had a couple of years ago where they stole all my filmmaking gear and kind of shut down my channel for a little while. But there was a theft. We were victimized. But the good news is we're going to try and turn this into a positive, and we're going to try and do a really good video for you and really educate some people and hopefully prevent some of this in the future and just bring more attention to it. So that's coming up. I'm going to try and have that video out either tomorrow night or the next night. And last night I uploaded a new vlog, and this is the vlog where I did that big YouTube collaboration with Mikey Bustos. And this is something that they tried to get all of the biggest YouTubers in the Philippines together and put them into one video. Now, I didn't say this in the videos, the other videos you saw me collaborating with Mikey, showing some behind-the-scenes stuff. Ooh, there's a... Never mind, I was distracting. But as I was saying, they tried to get all the biggest YouTubers in this country together in one video. Mikey Bustos organized this. I didn't say this in the other videos, but this was actually an advertisement. So Mikey hired me and a bunch of other YouTubers, and they really tried to get all the biggest YouTubers in the Philippines in this video, and they got most people. There was a few people they couldn't get because of scheduling and such, and Elodia, for example, she had a conflict where she has an exclusive contract with another company, so there'd be a conflict, so Elodia couldn't do it, but they hired me, they hired some of the other people that you saw in the video, and so this was a paid job. And it was really great working with Mikey. This was actually my first time. I'd barely met him before. I met him at a YouTube event, and he came up to me before and he said hello. And was very nice, very respectful. So this was my first time, though, spending any great amount of time with him. And definitely my first time working with him. Oh, welcome.
Hi.
This is my sidekick. And your friend. I'm your friend. She's your friend. This is Imabelle, my sidekick. But you guys probably already know that. So I was telling them about the Mikey Bustos shoot. But what was really fantastic, as I said, this was a paid job. And Mikey is not Filipino, as I'm sure most of you guys know. He's actually from Canada. He lives here now. But dealing with Mikey and his producer and his manager and the way they organized it, they were so on the ball. They were so responsible. They were so professional. And I'm not just saying this. I was impressed with it. You were impressed with it. And here's the hardcore truth. When you work with Filipinos, the culture here, it's coming from a Western point of view, it's so unbelievably unprofessional. So the way they do things is crazy. And I feel like in the Philippines, when they do business, if you enter into some kind of business with someone else or exchange in a professional environment, it's not enough to do a fair deal for them. they're not happy unless they one-up you somehow, unless they screw you out of some money and not pay you what they're supposed to pay you, or make you do a bunch of things that weren't in the contract, or break the contract. They're not happy unless they're taking advantage of you. And sorry to say, I've never seen a culture where people try and take advantage of others like this. It really blows my mind, and I think, you see how bad shape this country's in, and I was thinking one day it could be maybe because of this attitude and this philosophy of trying to take advantage of people, and they don't care what race. By the way, it's not a racial thing. They don't care what race or nationality they are. They don't care if it's your own people. A lot of them don't even care if it's their parents, brothers, sisters. They take advantage of people here in a way that I haven't seen. But Mikey, of course, is from Canada, so maybe that's part of the reason why he has more that Western sense of doing business and was very honorable. And like, for instance, we worked with them 2 days, shot 2 days, both very quick too. And it's funny, we were talking about this earlier, how they said, oh, we were going to shoot 2 days, but both days are going to be very quick. Mm-hmm. And normally they tell you that when you're going to do a shoot, and it turns into 12, 13 hours. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you're there 12, 13 hours and you haven't even shot, and they don't want to let you go. But, I mean, they were right on the ball. It was so quick, it was so easy, so painless, and then you don't have to ask them for your payment, for your money. They're just, oh, here you go. It's like, they take all the pain out of working with it.
Basically, it's very organized. Well, I'm Filipino, and I wouldn't want Filipinos to look bad, but Travis is just speaking from experience. We've experienced unprofessionalism and unorganized.
That's the norm. Unprofessionalism, unorganized, try and rip you off somehow.
Ways of,
I've worked a lot in this country. I've worked a lot in
Shoot.
this country, and I swear probably 80% of the work and jobs that I've done in this country, they're always trying to take advantage of you somehow. They're always trying to screw you over and rip you off somehow. So that's the norm. Like I said, it's probably 80% of the jobs I've done here. This is throughout the years, going back to about 2005, 2006. Mm-hmm. So that's one reason I don't even want to work here anymore. I'm just, I'm not in the mood to work here. But we got some people in the room that I don't
Hold
need to
on,
be ignoring.
before anything
Okay.
else. Well, on the shoot, on that, YouTube collaboration shoot with Mikey Bustos, all the staff are Filipinos. So kudos to them. I mean, Filipinos can be great people to work with too. But there are also bad experiences and pleasant experiences that we had working with Filipinos at the same time.
Mikey runs a tight ship. I think he only wants to be around people that are honorable people, the way they do business and the way that they run things. So the whole thing couldn't have been smoother. And like I said, it was actually a job. So he hired us. He hired a lot of those other people. And the idea was get all the biggest people from YouTube in the Philippines in this one thing. Mm-hmm. And it's actually for a communications company. They're holding a Star Wars event. Mm-hmm. So it's actually, and it was coursed through Maker Studios. So
speaking of Star Wars, that's my shirt.
That's the one that gave you.
I don't know if they would see it. Let me show it to you guys, because I like it personally. There. Oops.
With a glittery stormtrooper on it.
There you go.
I've never seen a stormtrooper like
so
that
nice,
in the movie,
right?
with glitter on the helmet.
I love this shirt.
They should add that to the stormtroopers. They should bedazzle their armor and stuff.
Yeah, bedazzle. I go with bedazzle.
They had a thing that they used to sell on TV called a bedazzler. You'd take it and you'd press it on your jeans and it'd leave studs and glitter and stuff.
I love that.
So that was called the bedazzler. They should bedazzle the armor of the new Star Wars.
It'll be nice for parties, especially for kiddie parties. It reminds me of just hosting parties. That would be fun.
But we got people in the room, and I'm sorry, guys. I don't mean to ignore you. Arleo04, hello. Angeline Pro, hi. Ralph Navarro. And Ray, I was talking to him earlier on Facebook.
Part of our Patreon family. Hi to you.
He's part of our Patreon
Rayno
family.
Alessandro.
Good guy, tuning in from the East Coast, New York, right, Ray?
So that means that's, is it afternoon, late afternoon for you now?
It would be, right now, it'd be, I think,
Or
about
late
9.
morning.
A little bit after 9 a.m., I think, for him.
Right. Wow.
Right now.
Have a great day to you guys wherever you are, whether you're starting your day or you're about to end your day.
So, well, you guys in the room, you're saying you love watching my videos and stuff. I really appreciate that because I'm an artist, but I've always had the philosophy, even when I was doing traditional art, paintings, drawing, that kind of stuff, and I was in all the art classes, I always wanted people to see my stuff because I figured, well, if people don't see your stuff, what's the point of creating artwork? It might as well not exist if no one's going to look at it. But I listened to an interview yesterday that was really interesting, and this was about, it was an interview of a guy, he's actually a hairstylist and owns a salon, but he took his YouTube channel, he had 30,000 subscribers, and he grew it to 150,000 subscribers, and it was a really interesting interview because I know a lot of, I've grown this channel slowly, 8 years, and I have about 80,000 subscribers now. So slow, but it's been growing fast lately. The past several months, it's been going really fast. But I've always said that subscribers are the most overrated statistic on YouTube because if you want to get views, well, then you got to create a certain type of content for that. And me personally, I don't run this channel just to get views. I could get a lot more views creating a completely different type of content, but it's not something I'd feel passionate about. I like doing travel videos, documentary, comedy videos, like entertainment. When I started this channel back in 2007, I did it with the philosophy that my goal, this is not something I'm going to talk about politics or talk about religion and tell people what God they should be worshiping. None of that serious stuff. My goal is to put a smile on the viewer's face, even if it's only for a minute out of their day, just by making a short video, just to somehow relieve some stress and put a little bit of joy and happiness into the world. So that was my philosophy. But if I wanted to get more views, I would do the top 10 celebrity wardrobe malfunctions or whatever. You know, that BuzzFeed content, that really stupid stuff. That stuff's going to generate a lot of views, but it's not something that I want to do. It's not something that would make me happy. It's definitely not something that's going to help people out, I think, in life. It's going to distract people away from more important things, I feel. So that's not the kind of content that I want to do. And it's funny. They talk about how much money YouTubers make, and like a lot of the times there's these articles about PewDiePie. Ooh, PewDiePie makes $7 million. And then anyone else that's on YouTube, they want to compare to that. Well, that's one of the rare few people that really make money doing it. So it'd be like saying, oh, Sylvester Stallone makes $20 million to make a movie. So I guess that guy behind him in the scene, well, he must be making at least $1 million. It doesn't work that way. And I even saw a viewer sent me a discussion that some people were having online about me saying, oh, I think Travis is he's not upfront. He makes money off of all his subscribers and stuff, and but he downplays it. Well, that's not the case at all. And this is like, for one thing, you don't make money off of subscribers. You make money for how many people click the ads and how many thousand views they get. And I'll tell you this, I have a friend that has maybe a few thousand subscribers, and he makes probably 3 times as much money from the little ads as I make with 80,000 subscribers. And this is a guy that has 3,000 subscribers. But he makes, and his videos aren't even good, they're terrible, but he just kind of, does that really crappy BuzzFeed stuff. I'm not hating on him, he's my friend, so sorry, you know who I'm talking to if you're watching this, and I'm sure he is. But so I'm not trying to insult him, but he knows, and he makes over 3 times as much through the ads, and he makes really terrible. He'll admit it that his videos aren't any good, that they're stupid, but it's just designed to get people to click on it. It's kind of cute for maybe a minute, but so subscribers have nothing to do with it. And for me, not every video I do, even these live streams, do I expect to get a lot of views on. I know that's not the way it is, but I do it because I really love doing this. I love communicating with people. I love creating. And I really think that my content, if people come to it with an open mind, is stuff that's going to help them out in life. So I think it's worth doing. But back to the interview of the guy that grew his channel from 30,000 subscribers to 150,000 subscribers. He was, and this is something I've talked to you a lot about, he was saying how, well, he could easily get a lot more subscribers, but he would be attracting the wrong type of people, and he wants to attract like a good core following. Because the one good thing this guy does, he sells products, and he sells, like he says, he has this scissors that's really good quality for a hairdresser, but it's an $800 scissors, and they sell them out whenever they release them, but that's because he has a good core following. So, and you want to attract the right type of people subscribing to you. Me too, I could get a lot more subscribers on this channel, but one of the things that's really frustrated me, I guess, lately running this YouTube channel is I've attracted a lot of the wrong type of people, I've realized over the past several months. And by the way, I'm probably not talking to you if you're tuning into the live stream, even if you're watching on the recording. Because if you're the type of person that's watched me or listened to me for this long, you're more part of that core following that's more interested in other things than just a very narrow point of view. So I'm not talking about you if you've listened to me this long, but I've attracted kind of what I would consider a bad crowd of people, and people that really don't want to change. These are guys that are, a lot of them are older, bitter guys that have a chip on their shoulder, and they don't want to get the chip off. They don't want to like change their perspective on things. They just want to go through life with that bad attitude, and they look at my videos, I think, because they want a fantasy of moving to a foreign country and having all your problems. If you want to move to a foreign country, that's cool, but if and then when they get those type of guys too, because you see them around a lot, there's so many guys here that are walking around in the streets. They really have a chip on their shoulder. They're bitter, angry guys. They're angry at the women in their country. They're just angry guys. And a lot of these guys, they drink heavily, and they just never end up fitting in that well. And eventually, even if they come over here, they're happy for maybe a few months, maybe even a year. But after that, the anger and the bitterness really, it just keeps growing and growing. And they're worse off than they were in their own country. So, but you get out of these videos what you want to see out of them. I always say that too. But let's address some of the people in the room. Vladimir.
It's like Vladimir.
Yeah, must be his real name. Welcome. And Ray is in New Jersey. I said New York. I think he's originally from New York. I know he works out in Atlantic City out there.
It's close at least to what you said.
I believe so. I'm not familiar with that area of the country. So, Klaus Moeller, good to hear you are very honest, Travis. Thank you, Klaus. What country are you from? Because he has, if you see the way it's written, he has the letter O with a slash through it. So I'm not. Must be European, I'm guessing. John Carlo Limpiado. I'm always having fun watching you travel around the Philippines, depicting our cultures and many more. Well, thank you very much for that, John Carlo. Mark Ritz is here with a smiley face. Thanks for joining us, Mark. I've seen you commenting on so many of my videos and following me on Twitter. So
you can try to talk to each other on the message thread as well.
That happens a lot. A lot of people try and hook up and date in there and stuff. So
well, just make friends. That would be cool.
Maybe we've made a few romantic connections.
That would be great
as
too.
well. So what's going on with you guys? We talked about working with Mikey Bustos, which we showed the second day of collaborating with him in the previous vlog. And But the vlog before that, I actually took a week off from YouTube. So people had a break from me,
How
but
does it feel?
maybe they missed out on their little bit of inspiration throughout the week.
He
But
actually misses you.
yeah,
He
I
misses.
feel kind of guilty about waiting that long. I used to try and do a video like every month, and that was hard to do, a really high quality one.
Mhm.
And then I started really pushing it to like a week and trying to do a really high quality video, one per week. It was very, very hard. But for the past half a year or so, I've been more active on YouTube. I've had 2 to 3 videos per week, trying to keep them pretty high quality still and up to my standard. And part of the reason we've been able to do that is because of the support that I've received on Patreon. So thank you to everyone that's supporting me on Patreon, because they're really making these videos possible for everyone.
True.
And we have bonuses and exclusive. I like to share a little bit more about myself on Patreon.
Yeah.
But I've had a week off from.
It's more like a family, like brotherhood.
I've had a week off from YouTube, and but now we're busy again. I don't normally like to upload twice, like 2 days in a row, because I like to try and give everyone a chance to see it. So I don't like to upload 2 days in a row, but we have a busy schedule this week, and we're pumping out lots of content for you. Like I said, I was going to do this live stream tomorrow night, but I delayed the video I was going to release about our theft. We're doing that, but we got to do this investigative reporting for you guys. But before the Mikey Bustos vlog, a week before that, which was the last one I did, was right after Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a Halloween vlog. We vlogged our Halloween. And that's the first time I've celebrated Halloween in a few years. Normally when I'm back in Los Angeles, I like to go to the thing in West Hollywood, which is absolutely insane.
Mm-hmm.
It's absolutely insane. They say that city is 50,000 people normally. They say on Halloween night it's 500,000 people there. So, and it's just everyone's packed and up, like you can't even walk. Parking is a
it like
nightmare.
riding the train, the MRT?
Yeah, it's almost like riding
In
the
Manila.
MRT during rush hour, except it's on the street.
And they're in
West
costume.
Hollywood. Yeah, and everyone's in elaborate Halloween costumes.
And
it's crazy.
Everyone perhaps smells good, right? And fresh, because they really look,
And I normally, the last time I was there, I went as Batman. A couple times before that, I went as Superman. For the Halloween here, I want something simpler. So we went and got our makeup done, and then we went out. And the white guy that you saw in the video with me, if you watched it, unfortunately that one didn't get as many views as most of my other ones, which is too bad.
You still have a chance to watch it and share it.
Yeah, it's still there. Watch it and share it with your friends, because I think that that's one of the best vlogs I've done, because at least one of the best ones I've done in a while, because it really shows the real Philippines. It shows the fancy. It shows how fancy rich people go into a party with them. And as soon as you walk out on the streets, it shows the reality of that, and it shows average stuff. We went to the filling station, but the white guy that you saw in the video with me, you might have seen in a couple other older videos with me. Eric, he's part of our Patreon family, so he's been supporting us almost from probably about the beginning of when we started our Patreon
He's one
campaign.
of the very early members, right? I mean, should I call oldest numbers?
Yeah, well,
oldest
earliest.
Yeah, earliest, not oldest like in age, earliest. And yeah, it was fun hanging with him. And by the way, if you are forgetting that, it was actually my first Halloween event, I think. Well,
That was your first time celebrating Halloween.
Yeah, I mean, I would
Getting
go.
all made up and stuff.
I know specifically for Halloween, because I also dress up, but mostly for to host events like themed parties and stuff like that.
And we have a couple comments I'd like to get to. Arleo04 says, I'm a Pinoy expat in Taiwan, and watching Travis's videos makes me feel at home.
Oh,
Very glad to hear that.
that's
Thank you for that.
Yeah, it's so heartwarming
And
to hear.
Butterfly Forever Free says, Hi Travis, hi Ima. How are you there? We're doing well.
Thank you for asking.
And they ask the question, are your parents going to visit you again in the Philippines? I really love your videos, and the Philippines is a very beautiful country. But my question for you is, have you been to the Philippines? So, because a lot of people, they watch this channel and they've never been. What's ironic, though, is a lot of people watch this channel that have never been to the Philippines, but then they act like they're experts in the comments, and they'll even try and correct me and tell me I'm wrong about something, someone that lives here. Everyone's an expert. They always have to show like what an expert they have. Even if they've never been here, they'll tell me I'm wrong about something. As crazy as that sounds.
We're not referring to you, Butterfly Forever Free, though. There are just
Well, I don't know if
those
they've been here.
crazy
Yeah.
people. And
But to answer his question, are my parents going to visit again? I don't know. I'd say there's a good chance of that at some point.
actually, Dad would love to really come back.
Oh yeah, they didn't want to leave. 2 weeks wasn't
Mom and
enough
Dad
time.
wanted to stay longer, but they had to go back.
2 weeks wasn't enough time for them. But we just heard today. Should we break the news?
Which
About-
one?
Okay, I'll break it. You don't know what I'm referring to.
I've got
Anyways,
a lot of news on
Imabelle-
my mind.
Imabelle got a message from my cousin, and he's planning on coming here in March.
He's a he.
Didn't I say he?
I know, I'm emphasizing it. Because you know what, guys? It's a common question that I get from Filipinos. Does Travis have a brother? So there,
have a cousin.
he has a cousin who's
And he
still
wants to come here
single.
in March, so maybe we can make something work out with him. He's, a younger guy. He's older than me, but he's not an old guy by any means.
Yeah.
He's still a stud.
Yes.
And I'll tell you what a stud he is. He's a 2-time state wrestling champion in the state of Virginia. And not only that, but his father is also a 2-time state wrestling champion. And his father's the first person to ever win more than one state championship at my high school, Bismarck High School. So I guess it's all runs in the family.
I know, I was just going to say that. Wrestling.
So we have a talent for it. So hopefully my cousin comes here, and hopefully we can make something work with that. I think people would really. I know people love my parents. I think they'd really love my cousin.
Yeah,
He's a funny guy.
I think it would be a very interesting vlog, just like when Mom and Dad came here, because it's coming from another young American or young non-Filipinos point of view. You'd see both sides. Although we already made videos going around with friends who are also younger than Mom and Dad. But I think that would just be very exciting because it will be his first time to visit the Philippines and Asia, I would say, right? Asia?
I
No.
think, yeah.
Yeah.
You lived in Hawaii. That's
not
not Asia.
I know that was
It's halfway
I
there,
know that's
though.
what
It's
you were
half.
thinking.
It might as well be Asia because Asia went to Hawaii. So if you go there, it's mostly Asian people. So that's kind
That's
of it's like
different.
Asia.
Yeah.
A lot of
That's different.
similarity. If you walk around the streets, you might think you're in Asia when you're there. So, but he's been out of the country. Like he used to live in Germany. I think that's the other country he lived in, Germany, because his dad was in the military. So
Not in Japan, right?
at the
Not
military
there.
base. No, they were stationed in Germany.
Okay, so I was right.
For a few
It'll be
years.
first.
That's also why he would lived in Hawaii because that's actually where he was born. These military families, they have to move around all over the world every few years.
Yeah.
So,
And I've been talking to your cousin, to my cousin-in-law, for a long time, and yeah, it will really be fun, especially for you guys, because you were supposed to make a video together in America, but that didn't happen because your schedules didn't meet.
let's get to Mark's question here. Mark Ritz has a fantastic question, and he says he's always wanted to ask. Mark Munoz wanted to teach wrestling in the Philippines after he retired from fighting in the UFC. Is that something you considered? Well, I don't know if I've exactly considered it. There's no money in wrestling, unless maybe you're teaching guys that want to be MMA fighters and you're coaching them.
Yeah.
But it's something, wrestling is something people do strictly for the love of it because there's no money involved in it. It's just an amateur sport. And guys dedicate their lives to coaching wrestling because they just want to be involved and they want to help young people and give back. I wouldn't mind teaching some wrestling in the Philippines, actually. One of the biggest disappointments for me and why I wouldn't want to have kids that go to school in the Philippines, the main reason I wouldn't want my kids to go to school in the Philippines is there's no wrestling programs in school. And I think wrestling, it teaches discipline, it teaches you how to use your body, and definitely if you want to be an MMA fighter, it's instrumental. And I just think it's a great activity for kids. It's a great sport. So I wouldn't mind, at least on some capacity. I can't do it full time because I'm busy with other stuff. And if you had a high-level wrestler like Mark Munoz doing that, I think that would be amazing. This is what I heard about him. He's the first person of full Filipino ancestry to win an NCAA Division I National Wrestling Championship.
Wow.
And not only that, he was a bigger guy. He did in the upper weights. Very hard to do, so he wasn't wrestling little midgets or anything like that. He was wrestling big, strong, athletic dudes. And he won for, I believe, the University of Oklahoma. He won a Division I NCAA National Wrestling Championship. And for the sport of folk style wrestling, which is what they call the style they do in the United States, in the Olympics they do freestyle and Greco. Those are different. The highest that you can achieve in folk style wrestling is a Division I college wrestling championship. That's about equivalent to a world championship for that sport. You're basically a world champion in folk style wrestling. So, and he's the first man of full Filipino ancestry to win a Division I wrestling title. So it's outstanding.
Personally, Mark Munoz is someone that Filipinos can really look up to. He's a very good example.
I'm glad that he spread the word about wrestling to the Philippines. Uriah Faber was here. He put on some wrestling camps. So I'm glad. One of the best things about the popularity of the UFC is even if you're not that interested in MMA and you don't want to be an MMA fighter, it really has made the sport of wrestling, especially in the United States, explode in popularity. Now, instead of being on the basketball team, there's kids that want to be wrestlers because eventually they want to be MMA fighters. Or they know, hey, just to be a complete fighter, just to take care of yourself, this is a legitimate martial art. When I was growing up doing it, no one really considered it that. And we had the UFC during my day too, and Randy Couture was a big hero to all the wrestlers. And I worked with him on a movie and sat with him at lunch. This was years ago. This is like 2004 maybe. So I had lunch actually at the same table with Randy Couture in about 2004, maybe 2005, on a movie that I don't think was ever released, directed by Pamela Anderson's brother. This is one of my first acting roles. And but it was a small thing. Randy and Frank Shamrock were the main stars. Gary Busey, I believe, was also in it. And Pamela Anderson made a cameo because it was directed by her brother. But so I did eat. I'm sure it's the highlight of Randy Couture's life. Eating at the table with Travis Kraft. And then, his UFC championships and stuff, that's a little further down. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right.
So that was interesting.
Maybe we could read some messages.
What did we miss?
Here. Band user said, I have been to the Philippines. I have gotten married with my Filipino wife recently. I am a 29-year-old man from Eastern Canada. Hello to you and congratulations to you and your wife. God
Is your wife on the way to Canada to join you? I hope so.
Maybe that's it.
And I hope she enjoys it.
Yeah. Evan Taylor, in a previous video it sounded like you were going to California. Are you two planning a trip to the U.S. anytime?
Well, you will have to wait and see. We have some surprises for you guys. We have a lot of good upcoming content actually. And this week I'm working very hard to get a bunch of stuff out after my week-long absence from YouTube. But we have a lot of good content coming up for you, and we have some surprises for you. So
Keep watching.
you will
Watch
see very
out.
soon.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm
It's
gonna say.
Okay, next, let's try read this. Rayman,
That's Ray.
Ray. I have a feeling the cousin would be as popular with us, with
With us as the parents
with
were.
us as the parents. Oh, right.
I think so too.
Yeah.
My cousin, he's
You
a,
better see this. You better hear this. Supercross Tom.
my cousin. He's a very funny guy, very good sense of humor, and he's also a really great artist. He does like painting and drawing. He's an outstanding artist.
He's very cool. That's
He's
why
amazing.
I call him, Supercars. Coolest Supercars.
And so Mark asks, "Is my cousin single?"
Yeah, we said that earlier.
Did we say that? I don't know.
I said it.
We said, yes, he's single. So the women, watch out. And this is a guy that you're going to want to be with. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And let me see. Another message we got. Have you seen the movie Foxcatcher? Yes.
We discussed that
This
in a
is
previous
from,
live stream.
Is it
But I heard.
Dino? Dino? In Philippines, it could be like Dionel.
Have we seen the movie
Dino.
Foxcatcher?
That was like, was it
we
last
discussed
year?
that. Yeah, we
Or
discussed
months
that last year, I believe, before around Christmas time. We discussed that in a previous live stream, but I heard that the movie was extremely fictionalized, and like almost none of the stuff. The movie was all like 99% fictional, and like because it portrays the relationship of the one wrestler with John DuPont, and apparently they'd only even in real life they'd only actually met each other a few times. They were acquaintances in real life, and here's a whole movie where it makes it look like the one guy's a mentor to the other guy, but they'd only they'd never actually lived in the same area apparently, and they'd only met like a few times. Like they were more acquaintances.
Do you think the movie would not be that interesting if they didn't have to fictionalize it that way?
You know, I think that there's some things that are such fascinating, true stories, but then they make movies out of them, but they feel they need to somehow make it flashier or better for the story, better for the movie, so they make stuff up. But a lot of the times when they do that, the stuff that they make up, it's not as fascinating as the real story. One of the best examples I can think of that is the movie from the early 90s, Dragon, the Bruce Lee story. Bruce Lee, one of the most fascinating guys to ever live in the history of this earth, and lived one of the most fascinating lives. They did a movie about him that was almost completely made up. And it's like, why didn't they just tell the reality and the real story? I think it would have been more interesting than the fictionalized film that they did about him. And so that was very weird. So now people, they see that and they think that that's really what his life was like.
Yeah.
But very little
People
of that movie
who don't
is the
read
reality.
or haven't,
If you don't know the real story.
Yeah. Well, it's because you researched it. You read more about it. One thing's for sure. If they would make a movie about our life story or about your life story, I don't want them to fictionalize it that way. I think it's already pretty interesting.
So Dino also asks, you doing more collabs? Looking forward to the video. As I said earlier, that's actually an advertisement for a communications company, and they hired us. They hired a lot of the other biggest YouTubers in this country. So we haven't seen it yet. We're not quite sure when that's coming out, but are we doing more collabs? And the answer is, I think so. Chris Cantata, who you saw in the previous vlog, he's huge, and he's only been on YouTube like a year, but he's huge. He's got like over 90 million views on YouTube.
Wow.
It's just incredible. He's actually the former drummer for the band
Sponge Cola. That I booked for a concert.
But he got huge in just a year time. Me and him, we spent a lot of time together at that shoot and then ate next to each other at Rax. And I didn't expect to like him that much. Me and him just...
Why?
Well, you never know what someone's going to be like, and you don't necessarily have expectations, but me and him got along really well, and we've talked a little bit about doing a possible collaboration, doing something on his channel. And
And let's read the answer of.
But
Go
not
ahead.
just him. We're working on getting some collaborations. I can't say anything.
And
We don't know if they'll pan out. That's one reason.
yeah, well, we're hoping for the best, and the best is also for your best because I know it'll be fun for you to watch.
One thing about collaborations that I've never done a lot, and the reason is I thought a lot of the time it could be a waste of time. I've only did like previously I'd only did one YouTube collaboration, and I think that was like in 2008, 2009, and it was with a smaller channel that was around the same size as mine at the time. I did a short film with a girl named Victoria Vibes.
Vives.
She's from she's from Spain. There was no talking in the film though, but that was the only one I'd ever done. But the way I always felt about collaborations and why I didn't want to do them is because a lot of the times they don't make sense because if you do a collaboration with someone that's too different, your audience aren't going to want to watch them, and their audience aren't going to want to subscribe and follow you. So, but sometimes too, when you're very different from someone else, like we talked the other day, there's a channel in Hong Kong that I'd really like to collaborate called Digital Rev. If you're into photography, you probably know who they are. They're probably the biggest photography channel on YouTube, Digital Rev. Although the one guy left and went to England, where he's originally from. But I'd like to collaborate with them in some capacity. And like you say, well, how would you collaborate with a photography channel? And you answered that, well, you're a model. So that's how it ties in to photography. So that would be a fun one. I really like them. So, but we're working on some possible ones. Some that with some big channels that you might not even know about. So maybe some international stuff coming up, some international collaborations. So that's a good question, though. I can't say too much, but
we don't wanna spoil the surprise for you guys.
I'm sure me and Chris Cantata will do something at some point, whether that be later in the month or next month.
We're just trying to set a schedule.
We were supposed to shoot something actually on November 4th, but things changed, so it kind of fell through.
Yeah.
So, but we're working on something, and we're working on something good. We just gotta bang it out.
Yeah, we have some people joining us. We have, let me see. Okay, actually, we can read what Butterfly Forever Free said. Yes, I've been to the Philippines because he asked him if he has been here. Oops.
It jumped again as
I know. We gotta go down again, and so we can finish reading it. It was a great experience. I liked the food. Most people were kind, and nature was so beautiful. But there was one thing that I didn't like. The taxi drivers in Manila, most of the time, they asked too much money, perhaps because they noticed that I was a tourist.
Yeah.
And
that's too bad.
That's true.
My parents, the entire time that my parents were here, we didn't have one bad taxi driver. The entire time, every taxi driver we had was excellent. None hassled us whatsoever for the entire 2 weeks that they were here. So how about that for luck? That was some freak luck. It's like just the stars aligned, as they say. Not that I believe in astrology.
That was a blessing.
I'm just using that expression. Like, I couldn't believe we didn't have one taxi driver that was bad, though. And my dad's like, man, the taxi drivers in the city are amazing. It's like, well, he doesn't know the whole story.
Dad was impressed by how taxi drivers could drive in this, heavy traffic and crazy, drivers around.
And Ban User from Canada says, yes, he's working on his wife going to Canada, but it takes a year. I'm sorry to hear that. One of the things that I really don't like about the United States is the immigration policy. And this is not to get political, but what I've hated, and I've had a lot of friends that are immigrants, and what I've really hated, I saw how broken the immigration system is in the United States. And there's people that try to follow the law and do everything the right way. And they have all these, it's so expensive. They have all these fees, all these inconveniences. They make things very hard on people trying to do things the right way. And then these people that do it illegally and sneak in, they just want to give them a pass. and it's like they're cutting in line, they're breaking the law, they're really, it's not fair to the people that are really trying to do things, like what he's doing. It's just not fair. So I hate these immigration policies they have. There's maybe not a simple solution to the problem, but to me, as an American, I'm very disappointed in, because like I said, I've known immigrants throughout the years, especially since living in California, and seeing all that they had to go through to keep legal. It's just ridiculous, and I hate that the government messes them over, while there will be another group of people that they'll just say, oh, go ahead, do whatever you want.
Considering
Do whatever you want.
considering all these Mexicans who could easily, you know, stay illegally.
Well, I had a
in
friend. I had a
America.
friend actually, not to make him look bad, but I won't mention his
No,
name.
I mean not all of them.
He was a
of
bit of a
course.
racist. He immigrated from the Philippines he worked as a architect in California, and he immigrated legally, and he was always continuing going through that whole process, paying all that money. But he was a bit of a racist against Latinos, Mexicans, and El Salvadorians, which there was a lot of where I live. And he said, it's so unfair. These people, they come to this country illegally, most of them. They just walk through easily. They come here, they have babies, and they just stay. And the government lets them do whatever they want. But me, they're charging all this money, doing all this hassle. You have to have every form filled out perfectly. If there's one little mistake, it's like, oh, too bad. So, I've seen the pain and the struggles that they go through, and definitely my heart goes out to them. And about the illegal immigrants, by the way, I'm not saying they're bad people. I'm not blaming them. They're getting away with whatever whatever they're being allowed to get away with, and they're doing whatever they have to do to make a better life for themselves and their families. So who can blame them for that? I don't blame the illegal immigrants. I blame the government for doing things this way. I blame the government, and to some extent these days the culture. There's that one Filipino guy that he's like supposed to be a journalist and documentary filmmaker, whatever. He had a series for MTV. That guy is a sleazy guy. He's a scumbag. He's been there like most of his life illegally, and he thinks he should just get a pass and says, oh, it's racism. Look, dude, the Philippines makes me pay to be in the country legally. I had to pay and go through inconveniences for visas and stuff, and it was a hassle. It was a headache. It's expensive. I had to do that. The Philippines isn't cutting me a break. Why should the United States cut this guy a break? I think that this guy's absolutely ridiculous, and I don't even know the guy's name. I think it's like Jose something. I don't know. He's that guy's an idiot. I can't stand that guy.
Well,
so I said I wasn't going to get political. Maybe it's getting a little bit political, but
to me, I think
I don't like that
there's-
guy, and I'm not
I mean,
afraid to say it.
I don't see anything wrong to obey or to comply with the rules and
If I was
and
there,
all that, but it should be fair. I mean, why do these people who violate the law or the rules just make it get in easily and they're not even penalized? Whereas the the people who go there legally spend more and go through the hassle of,
well, if
trying to do what is right.
If I was in another country illegally and I was getting away with something, I wouldn't go on TV and say, yeah, we need to let everyone that's illegal, we need to make them legal, and like talk all over the media. I'd be very quiet about it. If I was illegal and I was getting away with it, I'd be like, shh. I'd keep that on the down low, as they say. So, but that's just me. And let's go back a little bit. We've missed a lot. So
Hello to Neil Pratt said hello from England. Hi, Neil. I wonder how time it is in England right now.
well, we're going to have to go to England one of these days, I suppose, and meet up with some people there. I had a photo shoot in a magazine spread in England once,
Yeah.
in an English magazine, but I've never been to England. So
Hopefully we can visit.
one of
someday.
these days, I'm sure we will get there when there's an
Neil
opportunity
Pratt's
that
name
comes up.
sounds familiar to me. I'm not sure if were you the one who. Anyways, I don't know. I don't have to say it now.
Okay.
My mind is just like there's just thoughts that come I think it's the Neil that I can remember was the one who organized an event that we were supposed to go to, right?
But he's from England. We were going to an
no,
event in
I
England.
think he's from England. That
Or is
one
he here?
Neil that I remember, and he was gonna come to the Philippines,
Okay.
but the event didn't push through that time. So, anyways, but thank you, Neil, for joining us.
Thanks for joining us from England. We hope to see you there one of these days when we have the opportunity.
Yes.
So,
Margaret has a question for you.
Mark Ritz has a question. Aldo or McGregor? He's asking about the upcoming title fight for the UFC championship at 145 pounds. Aldo or McGregor? That's a good question. McGregor has more hype than anyone I've ever seen right now, and he's on a roll. But how can you bet against Jose Aldo? Although the thing is, they're claiming he was on steroids and now he had to get off steroids. Mm-hmm. How is that going to affect him if it's true? Well, we'll see. But I don't think that it would be a good idea to go against Aldo. I think he's one of the best ever. I mean, I'm not a fan of Aldo, but that guy is talented beyond belief. So.
Well, if there's someone who McGregor could fight.
Well, they're fighting for the championship.
No, I mean, if there's just anyone among the UFC fighters, regardless of the weight classes, who would you want to see McGregor fight?
Well, he has to fight Aldo because
aside from Aldo,
he beat Mendez. That was the next best fight they could have made.
Well,
however, Mendez only had 2 weeks' notice and wasn't in shape to fight. Mendez was actually dominating him, but just gassed out. It'd be fun to see him fight Mendez again when Mendez has a full training camp and can prepare properly and be in shape. Because a guy of McGregor's level, especially someone they'd been training for months, for a 5-round fight, 2 weeks isn't enough time to fight someone of that level. But I mean, when he was fresh, he made McGregor look silly actually. So I'd like to see those guys fight again, but more with an even matchup in terms of prep time.
I don't know the weight class of McGregor and of
145.
About
Jones is 205.
But if they were of the same weight class, I want to see them
Well, they're
fight.
quite a bit different. Well, they're about 60 pounds apart. So.
Yeah, if they were of this, if they belong same weight class, that's
I want to see McGregor fight
I
Brock
wanna see.
Lesnar. No, I'm just kidding.
So the age would be there's like a big age
Brock
difference.
Lesnar fought at heavy.
How about for Ronda Rousey and?
I want to see Ronda Rousey.
Me
If
too.
she's so good and if she's the best
you're
ever,
referring to
I
the
want to
other
see
one.
Ronda Rousey fight TJ Dillashaw, the men's champion at 135. How would she do then? No, I think that he would make her look as terrible as the people that she fights.
I thought you were gonna say the other female fighter from another organization.
Oh, Cyborg?
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to see that, although
That's impossible.
it's impossible. I've given up
But-
hope of that matchup.
But I'm
ever
looking
happening.
forward to watching the fight between Ronda Rousey and the Minister's. What's her
The
title?
minister's daughter,
The Minister's daughter,
or
the
whatever.
preacher's daughter. What's her name again?
Holly Holm.
Yeah, I like both of them, but I think that will be an exciting fight for me. especially
Yeah,
that would be-
all 20 seconds of it when it lasts. This is one of the worst matchups I've seen. I mean, Holly Holm, if you've seen her 2 fights in the UFC, sorry to say, no disrespect, but she's simply not good.
Well, but
and
why are they matching her with Ronda then?
Because she's undefeated and no one in the women's division is any good. They're terrible. Here's why Ronda's so dominant. It's not that she's so great. And when you're beating people in 14 seconds, 30 seconds, however long all their fights, that doesn't mean that you're so great. It just means the people you're fighting are completely terrible. If you're beating them that fast, it's kind of like at wrestling tournaments. A lot of wrestling tournaments, they have a special award, the quickest pin. But I think that that's a terrible award, the quickest pin, because all that does is mean that you went against someone that's extremely terrible, that lost really quick, that loses really quickly. And Ronda, she's a good fighter, but the reason she's so dominant, she's the only good women's fighter. She's the only one that has good skills. The rest are terrible. Sorry to say, but that's just the way it is. It's not at the level.
Well, that doesn't change my level of excitement to watch the fights. So.
It's a mismatch. I want I always want the other gal to
there's
win.
this
So
side of me that I would want the preacher's daughter to win.
we've had Ronda jammed down our throats too much. So of course you're gonna, a lot of people are gonna want the other girl to win. But this isn't the girl to make it happen. I'm sorry to say, but she's terrible.
What if that
she's
happens?
Completely terrible. Well, I'll be happy if it happens. I'm hoping it happens, but I'm not going to put any money on her winning. I'll tell you that.
No gambling.
I'm not a betting man, but if you bet on Ronda, I think this is about as safe of a bet as you could have in that sport. Especially in the men's division, anything can happen. A fight can be over like that, one good punch or something. But the women, they don't have that one punch knockout power, so they don't have that threat or that danger. And I mean, this other girl, she's terrible. She's probably one of the worst girls that Ronda's fought, and most of the girls that Ronda's fought are not good. But this one's
see.
like, yeah, I've seen her 2 other fights in the UFC. Not good. So I think anyone that's educated on this, they think it's a terrible fight because they think that Holly's terrible. The preacher's terrible. She's just terrible. I don't care how much they hype her. She's not good. She's not skilled.
I still want to watch that.
That being said, I sure hope she beats Ronda, but
what
like
do you
I
think,
said,
guys?
I'm pretty sure it's not
Are you
going
rooting
to
for
happen.
Ronda or are you rooting for what's her name again?
Holly Holm.
Yeah.
You're rooting for this girl that you don't even know.
I just
never
remember
bothered to
her
learn.
with the title they call her, the preacher's daughter.
People are going to forget about her pretty quick after this.
Anyways, let's welcome.
I hope I'm wrong, though. I really hope I'm wrong. I swear.
Let's welcome the other lovely people joining us right now.
Edward Beck.
Big fan from New York City.
New
Hi
York
to
City.
You.
We just watched an interesting film that took place in New York City. If you haven't seen it, you should see this one. The film is Coogan's Bluff. Clint Eastwood.
That's the New York City that I wouldn't want to go to in that movie.
In the sleazy, he's an Arizona sheriff that has to go to New York City to extradite a prison. But of course, things don't go smoothly. So then he has to, but you got to see Coogan's Bluff. Great early Clint Eastwood film. And, I don't know, it's just see Coogan's Bluff. We just watch it. I liked it a lot more than her.
Yeah, that's New York in that movie. But I still would love to go to New York someday. From Butterfly Forever Free. I like that name. Butterfly Forever Free. I've got a question. How is Christmas celebrated in the Philippines? Are there differences between the Philippines and the United States? Well, you could answer that best.
The biggest differences are actually not about Christmas. It's how Hanukkah is celebrated in the United States versus Hanukkah here in the Philippines. Totally
There's no
different.
Hanukkah there. Here.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just kidding.
But there's a
I'll let you.
There's
I'll
a
let you
Jewish
answer
church
that.
somewhere in Makati, I think.
It's in
In Forbes
Manila,
Park,
maybe.
I think.
Yeah, a synagogue.
No, I think it's in
Temple.
Makati. Anyways, so, according to him,
So if you're Jewish, you can still attend services if you're so inclined.
Christmas, I think, has a very long celebration in the Philippines because as early as September, you would already hear Christmas songs played on the radio.
Yeah, you hear them in the
And
malls. They keep playing
You could already
Christmas
start
music
decorating
right now.
your house
I'll tell you what was really
with
weird.
Christmas, decoration.
What was weird the other week, I was in the grocery store and I was in front of this big Halloween display, but they're playing Christmas music and all the decorations are for Halloween, but with Christmas music playing. It just seems wrong to me.
Yeah, and another thing is, I don't know if you do this in America. During Halloween, you have trick or treat, right? The kids go to the houses and get these goodies, candies, and all that, right? For Christmas, especially in the province where I grew up, kids go around the neighborhood and knock on the houses, and they would be given candies and any gift. Or the kids would go to the house of...
For Christmas?
Yeah,
So they're
Christmas.
trick-or-treating for Christmas?
We don't
They
call
do
it-
everything
we
backwards here,
don't,
don't
we
they?
don't call it trick or treat. It's just more like gift giving. So even you would even see, strangers, people you don't know, who would go to your house, knock on the gate, and you give them something. The simplest thing that you give is, candies or maybe food or maybe money. It's up to you. It's it's the spirit of giving and sharing. And of course, I just don't like it, Christmas being commercialized or becoming commercialized, because the real essence is, that Christmas. That's why it's Christmas. There.
I'll answer this one from Arleo. He says, off topic, what business do you think is good to put up in the Philippines? Well, let me be very clear here. As far as I'm aware of the laws here, and I think I'm pretty aware, you're not allowed, if you're not from here, you're not allowed to own a business here. You can own up to 40% in a business. Now, there's maybe one or two exceptions to that. One is the BPO industry. So foreign companies can have BPOs. That's an exception to the law. And there may be one or two other exceptions. So you're not allowed, I'm going to need a drink. You're not allowed to own a business here. Now, I know a lot of people say, well, I'll put it in my wife's name, or I'll put it in
Someone
a
else's.
friend's name, or someone I'm paying to do this. You can do that, and then you can put up any kind of business you want as long as it's in someone else's name. However, I would strongly caution against that, because you have to understand you have no legal rights over it, so they can end up just taking it, taking all the money, taking your investment. There's nothing you can do. So I would strongly caution against that, unless it's maybe your wife and you really, really trust her. And it's sad to say there's a lot of guys, especially here, that are married or have girlfriends, and they don't trust them. It's like having, and that's just sad if you can't trust your wife or whatever. So, but
Well,
unfortunately, you hear that a lot. So I'd strongly caution. But if you're going to do that, what business? That's kind of a hard question without knowing you better, because I don't know your talent, your skills, your interests. So, but
it
you
also depends on the area.
and it depends. Oh, that's a good point. It depends
The
on what area
location.
you're in. So, there's a lot of. It's a very open-ended question, but if you're
Yeah.
going to do something like that, I would say proceed with care, and especially if you've never run a business in the United States or whatever country you're from, I wouldn't necessarily expect to go to another country, another culture, and deal with another culture and expect things to run smoothly.
That actually reminds me of something, a story that I heard. Was it from you or someone else? Like, there was this, I think there was this American who was talking about a potential business he was gonna invest on, but that was actually an idea originally or proposed by a Filipina based in the Philippines. And I think I told Travis was, or whoever asked that, was it to you?
I
Is
think
that
it was my friend. It was Dad.
okay? That was it. I'm confused.
I
And
guess I could tell that story real quick.
yeah, because the thing is, it'll be best if you really know the person. But there are still stories, real stories, that even if, even if this non-Filipino knows the Filipino friend or a business partner very well, it then still end up very well.
Well, I can't.
It wasn't a good thing.
Yeah, I had a friend. He
to
was.
invest or to partner.
I have a friend
with that.
in the United States, and his dad knew some gal from the Philippines, and she said, "Oh, I'm going to open a restaurant. Do you want to invest?" And I think it was a whole scam. And plus, why invest your money in a restaurant in the Philippines? They're just going to take your. Chances are they're going to take your money and not give you anything back, even if they put up a restaurant, which they probably weren't even doing. But his dad was a senior citizen, an older guy, and he thought he knew this woman well, but they talked him out of it, thankfully. So,
Yeah. Well, another thing that I mentioned to you was, one thing that you could try to check is the if that company, or if the business or organization you're thinking about getting involved in is legitimate. Maybe you could go to It's called the Security and Exchange Commission because that's where you could find the legal registered organizations. And yeah, another one is to check the records on from the Department of Trade and Industry. So I guess it's always you're not gonna lose anything if you will research first and make sure the research is really you know accurate.
Uh, let's go to the next question. I lost my place because they keep coming in.
Yeah.
Uh, let's see.
By the way, guys, thank you so much for joining us. And if you were not able to join us from the very beginning, hopefully this is recording.
We have
Well, you can still catch it.
we have a
later.
couple interesting questions here from band user. Have you heard of the keto diet, Travis? That's where, as he says, low carbs under 20 grams, worth reading about. Basically, it's about sending your body into ketosis, which is, you're burning your body fat because you're not eating carbs. Therefore, you burn so you're not storing anything. But whenever I diet down, and I haven't for a while, I need to do that. I would say, and this is how my dad does it, and this is what I learned from him. How my dad changes body weight probably 30 pounds every year in between winter and summer. In the winter, he likes to eat. He has brownies. He enjoys himself. He eats ice cream. Because the philosophy is in North Dakota in the wintertime, you wear a coat so no one's going to see your body. But then in the summer, that's when you want the abs popping because you're going to be on the beach or at the swimming pool. So he's did this for most of his life. He diets down and he'll drop. Like I remember there was times he would drop like 40 pounds. You'd see him in the middle of winter. My dad looks like a fat guy. Then you see him towards the end of summer. He's completely shredded. And
shredded.
And my dad's
I like
actually
that.
my dad's actually also a state champion, but not in wrestling. He did wrestle, but he's a state champion bodybuilder. He's a North Dakota bodybuilding state champion, natural bodybuilder. So he knows about that. My dad's been bodybuilding for probably close to 60 years now, well over 50 years. Natural bodybuilding. Because my dad, one of his heroes is Steve Reeves, and that's that type of physique is what he's always wanted. But he did win a state championship in bodybuilding, and then when I had to diet and lose weight for wrestling, I'd always do the low carb. One time I ate nothing but eggs when I was younger. I ate nothing but eggs for
That's what you call discipline.
Yeah, well, I ate nothing but eggs for 2 weeks to diet down for a wrestling tournament, and I got so shredded. I don't think I've ever been so lean in my life, even when I was modeling. But I didn't wrestle very well after that, not because I had low energy or something. It's just I was too distracted. I wanted to just eat. I didn't want to wrestle. This is when I was young. I was really young.
Ice cream.
Yeah, I wanted to go to buffets and stuff, but they got me shredded, and I didn't feel any fatigue even doing hard wrestling training throughout that. So, yeah, here's the thing. If we're going to talk about diet, there's 2 ways to lose weight. You can do lower your calories, which is basically you're going to be eating less food, and that works really well, especially for average people that just want to lose some weight. That might be the best way to do it, actually. Just eat less food and lower your calories overall, and just make that your lifestyle. However, if you're an athlete or a bodybuilder or a model, and you're going to have let's say you're going to have a photo shoot, I don't necessarily recommend that way. The best way I feel to do it is like what he's talking about. You cut out carbs and you diet down the body fat, and then also you want to do, if you want that really hard toned look that everyone likes, especially say a model would need. I think the best way to do it is you got to cut out those carbs, and then you also got to have that toned hard look. You got to do some form of resistance training. I think some weightlifting is the best way to do that, so you have the tone and the muscle firmness. But there's two ways to lose weight. Just reduce your overall calories by eating less, which is going to work well for a lot of average people that just want it as part of your lifestyle. But if you're getting ready for a photo shoot, or you're a bodybuilder or an athlete, say a wrestler, a boxer, or MMA fighter, try and lower your carbs to reduce the body fat. Because there's calories, but not all calories are equal. Some calories are better than others. Some are more useful to you than others. So, you can eat calories through eating a bag of potato chips, or you can eat some chicken or
Uh-huh.
something like that, and it's not, or eggs, and it's not, what's going to be better for you, especially in the long run. So, those are the ways to lose weight. And if you're an average person, probably just eat less because that's going to be easier for you. Cutting carbs is hard because carbs are in almost everything we eat, and they're in a lot of the
That's what I
tastiest
eat all the
stuff.
time.
They're in a lot. All you can really eat if you don't eat carbs. But the only thing you can eat is meat and certain types of vegetables. So meat and vegetables is basically all your diet's going to be. You're not going to be having any kind of grains, any breads. Most fruit you're not going to be able to have. Although I think apples aren't so bad. It's a low glycemic type of carbohydrate in fruit. So that's what I have to say about that. But good question. And we have another good
Some
question.
healthy tips brought to you by
This is a great
Travis
question from Bradley B. He says, "Do you?"
Bradley Cooper. No joke.
I lost the question.
Bradley B asked,
He says,
"Go down." There.
Do you remember a show called Sliders? I'm not familiar with the show, so I can't say
His
that.
follow-up question
He
is,
continues, "Do you believe in parallel universes?" And this is a great question. This is what we should be talking about. Parallel universes. Do I believe in them? It's a controversial subject, and many of the greatest scientists believe in them, such as, I believe, Stephen Hawking, as well as there's a lot of scientists that don't believe in parallel universes. Now, do I personally believe in parallel universes? Now, just to be upfront, I'm not a scientist by profession, and so I don't really have the expertise necessarily to talk about, but the question is not about my expertise on having evidence as to whether I think they exist. It's, do I believe in parallel universes? And the answer to that is yes. And I'll tell you why I believe in parallel universes. I have no scientific basis for it whatsoever. I just think it's a fun thing to imagine and think about. And I like thinking that
it's just like the fun of imagination.
I like thinking.
For him.
Yeah, I like thinking.
It's like creative, imaginative mind is like, nurtured.
I like thinking I like having the idea that there's thousands of other universes out there, and there's thousands of other me's out there in the universe, and they're all different. Maybe in another universe, I'm a blonde. Maybe in another universe,
you're a midget.
I'm a Chinese guy. Yeah, I'm a midget. Like maybe in another universe, I'm a Nazi or whatever. Maybe in another universe, whatever.
You're a woman? Can you be a
I'm
woman?
a woman, yeah. And I'd be a woman in another universe. I would be. So there's all these, and there was a movie, not a great movie, but that kind of explored this concept a little bit, starring Jet Li, called The One. And the concept of that movie is there's one of him that's a bad guy, and he can travel to the other parallel universes and kill the other versions of him. And when he kills the other him in the other universe, he like gains their strength, and he gets stronger and more powerful and gets more powers and stuff. So his thing is he keeps traveling to all these different universes, killing off all the different versions. So he's getting like he's getting like superpowers. But the thing is, when he kills off one other him, he doesn't just get stronger and more powerful. All the other versions of him in all the other universes, they also get more powerful.
That's
crazy.
And
then he runs into the Jet Li that's in our universe, and then of course it's a Jet Li movie. They fight each other. And this was after Jean-Claude Van Damme made all those movies of him fighting himself in movies. It's a good concept. Fight yourself. And who's tough enough to take me on?
What was the inspiration for the writer?
I don't know. They must be interested in science, I suppose.
Okay, let's see. We should be able to read everything. I think you can go up. Neil Pratt said... which one are you reading?
Okay, we'll go to the next one.
Neil Pratt said, thanks to you both, I now know the best places to visit when I make my first visit around January. Well, your trip on January.
Glad to hear
And
it.
where is this?
Band user who talks about the low carb diet. He says he lost 50 pounds in 5 months. He went from 240 to 189 pounds, and I won a state championship at 189 pounds in high school. I won three state. I won at 171, 189, and 220. Even though I weighed 185 when I wrestled at 120. It's a long story.
Yeah.
But so I did
So
win
that
a
number
championship
is
there.
very special. Neil Pratt
And he's
added.
had good muscle gains. Like very good to hear that it's working out.
Yeah.
I guess you're very serious and sticking to it.
Right.
See, the thing is, it works, but most people can't really stick to it. Like they go a couple days and then their willpower is weak. They don't have the motivation. They don't have the reason.
Well,
I guess he has
now
a good
that
reason to
makes
stick
me
to
ask
it.
band user, what motivates you to keep doing that despite the temptation?
I think he says he's coming to the Philippines. I think he wants to take
Okay.
his shirt off on the beach for all the girls, right?
Okay,
What
yeah.
better motivation do you need than
Right,
that,
yeah.
man?
And also stay healthy. There, Neil Pratt added, YouTube is a wealth of information, and Travis and Ema are one of the best. Oh, thank you so much for that. We do our best, and speaking of doing our best, we're really very thankful. You know, I cannot, what do you call this? I mean, like, endless thanks, really, to all of you, our dearest Patreon family. You know who you are. And you can also be part of our Patreon family. So everyone's welcome. Just check out patreon.com/craft.
We should have a link in the description, hopefully.
Yes.
It's in all my videos, should be. So,
Ray D'Alessandro said, you may be interested to know I've been to several Filipino restaurants in my area in the past year. Really? Max's, Jollibee, and some independent places. And yes, one of them served balut. Wow, I wonder how your experience with balut was. Do you want to eat more of that?
the first time someone took me to a Max's fried chicken restaurant, this was in California, some Filipinos took me. I thought they said, we're going to a fried chicken restaurant, you're going to like it. I was expecting like KFC, and then when we got the fried chicken at Max's, I'm like, what is this? It's actually pretty good, but if you go in expecting something like KFC, you're probably
Yeah.
going to be disappointed. You have to accept it as something very different and a very altogether different type of thing, because you can't have that envisionment of the more traditional fried chicken. So
Wait, was it good for you?
it wasn't good the first time I've had it in the Philippines,
Yeah,
maybe
we had
once
it
or twice.
2010. Yeah,
Was the last
yeah,
time I
yeah.
think we had it in 2010. We ate at
Yeah.
one in Mega Mall, I think,
Gateway.
Gateway, and I liked it then. But then I knew what to expect. I knew what I was getting into. So I
Yeah.
liked it then. You just got to know what's going to be like, because if
You just gotta
if
be
you expect
open,
something
I
else to
guess.
show up,
Yeah.
you're going to be very disappointed in it. So I
That's
hated
true.
it the first time I had it.
Hey, Evan Cortez is joining us. Hi, Evan. And before we read his comment, I am wondering how the audio quality of this live stream is.
I think it's
'Cause-
good because no one's
Yeah,
complaining.
no one has.
We're using a different encoder this
Yeah,
time.
thankfully, no one has mentioned
We're using
about
an encoder
audio
called.
glitches and all that. So Evan Cortez
Okay.
too said, Travis, what is your opinion on the whole bullet planting scheme at the airport? Does it make you hesitant to travel?
Does it make me hesitant to travel?
My
Absolutely not.
well,
I don't live my life
our
in
loved
fear.
ones. I mean, one of our loved ones, really had to remind us about it.
I don't live my life in fear, but one question I've had, and I haven't flown in the past week or so, whenever this story's been trained. If you don't know what he's talking about, it's been probably the number one news story in the Philippines. People will plant bullets in your baggage. Then when you go through, try and travel, they arrest you for having contraband, something like that. And but my question would be, how often is this happening? How many times per day has this been happening? And especially since it's been probably the number one news story in the country, shouldn't the people working at the airport be more aware of it and
True.
give some kind of consideration? My next question would be, if you just have a bullet, what can you do with that unless you have a bunch of other friends coming in separately? They're taking a gun, all in pieces. Like this guy takes part of a gun, this other guy takes, and then you assemble it once you're on the airplane, and then the other guy has the bullet, for the gun. I mean, I don't really know how dangerous just a bullet in itself. I mean, I suppose you could set it off somehow if you have something to strike the end where where the hammer hits in the gun.
Mhm.
So
You're not supposed to bring a hammer inside.
no, I mean, but you need like they have that
Something.
round part, and like when
Yeah.
like say like
I
when you
know.
see a revolver and they cock what's called the hammer back, and then when you squeeze the trigger, it goes like that, and it hits that part in the center there,
Uh-huh.
and that's what. I'm not an expert at that technology either, but my grandpa would know more about that.
Yeah, I just hope that they could do something about it. I mean, for sure, it's not good for the tourism industry of the Philippines.
People are freaking out. People are scared. I don't live my life in fear. If I have to go to the airport and fly out, whether it be to Los Angeles, whether it be to Taiwan, whether it be to China, whether it be to Mexico City, to London, Edinburgh, Scotland, Stockholm, Sweden, we're making a lot of travel plans, huh?
Yeah, to Italy, to Europe,
So,
Germany.
Wherever I have to go, I'm not going to let it stop me. I'm going to go and do my best to be a good citizen in the world wherever
Personally,
I go.
I
Don't
would
worry
say
about it.
I'm gonna be equipped. I am and will always be equipped with prayers and just be extra careful. If I would have to cover my luggage with something, oh, they had this. I think is I read the post on Facebook. One of my Facebook friends flew to California recently, and he mentioned that I think there's a service there where they could wrap your bag in like a no, they could wrap your bag with like a plastic bag or something. I don't know what kind of plastic that is to cover it, but I think they charge for that. He said, I don't need to do that because it's just additional expenses. But yeah, I don't really know what exactly is happening now, but
Well,
I just hope things can just be safe. Why are there so many bad people in the world? Anyways.
we've been live streaming quite
I
a while,
know,
so
and
we're
I
going to go
still
soon.
have
But before
a
we
meeting.
go, oh yeah, you have to do something.
Yep. Yes.
So we'll go here shortly, but there's one thing that I wanted to talk about. I meant to talk about sooner. YouTube Red. That's YouTube's new subscription service where you pay $10 a month, and as a result, you don't see ads. There's a few other bonus features, such as PewDiePie is doing a new show with Maker Studios and also co-produced by, I guess the producers of Walking Dead. I think it's a horror kind. You get that. I've never watched a PewDiePie video in my life. I'm not going to pay $10 a month to see one. But if you were interested in that, you can do that. You also won't see the ads. So YouTube Red, are you guys going to pay for YouTube Red? I think I know what the answer is. One thing about YouTube Red, as I found out, other people have pointed out, apparently there's a porno video site called RedTube. Did YouTube not know that they're naming their new service very close to a popular porno site? So there's RedTube, which is a pornography video site, and now there's YouTube Red, YouTube's new service.
Why can't it be
So,
YouTube Blue?
That's well, because
Which
red
is
is
our-
associated
Which
with
is our favorite
red
color.
is the official
I
color
know.
of YouTube,
That was just.
and they feel that red has it's weird, but I didn't know that they had a porno site
Maybe they didn't know.
called RedTube, but they have a very similar name to a very popular
How
porno
did you know
website.
about that porn?
Other people have talked about
Oh,
it.
that was discussing. Yeah,
I
you
saw
mentioned-
videos about it.
You told me about that.
One thing, too, they say that this is going to help creators make more money and stuff because that's always the struggle of YouTube for most creators. But I would say if you're considering subscribing to YouTube Red and your main reason is to help creators earn more money, it might be better just to go to their Patreon campaigns and contribute directly to them. So I have a Patreon campaign. It's very common now. You see so many YouTubers. Some of them get thousands of dollars per month, so they really get a lot of support, especially like if it's a big channel like Corridor Digital or whatever they're called. I think they were getting like 6,000 per month on Patreon.
Wow.
It's a lot, but they do very high-end stuff. I'm sure they have lots of expenses. They also have millions of subscribers. So they get millions of views. They're a very large channel. So that's what I would have to say about that. I don't really think many people are going to use YouTube Red. I think it's going to be a bust. It seems like every few years YouTube launches a major product or service, but then like when it fails, like a few months later, they never mention it again. I remember maybe around 2008, 2009 when they launched movie pay-per-views, and they were pushing it hardcore on the front page. If you weren't using YouTube then, you don't know what I'm talking about. I actually did a video like years ago, like just asking people if they're going to pay for it. But so it was YouTube movies, and like it's all about pushing pay-per-views, and they pushed that so hardcore, but like no one used it, and they still have pay-per-view movies on YouTube, a lot of them actually, but you don't see anything on the front page like telling you should go do it. Like it was just such a hardcore push, but it's like no one used it, so then they just quietly quit talking about it. They just all of a sudden they never mentioned it anymore. When like I remember they'd try and push you to the YouTube/movies page. Now and then after a while they made it hard to find the movies section on YouTube, and now it's youtube.com/movies. It's a pathetic thing of movies now. Like it's just awful. But so I'm just what.
Yeah, like Google Plus, they were promoting that, and like you really had to have Google Plus, right?
And then they just announced after a year and a half of forcing us to have it, saying, we're no longer going to require Google Plus. After all that, like forcing everyone to get it, and like just, I guess there was a lot of backlash to it.
Yeah. Before I forget, let's say hi to you and much love to you. Part of our Patreon family, Joey Galon, thank you so much. And Evan Cortez said, when you were talking about his question about the whole bullet time change scheme, that's an idea for a new business in the Philippines, professional luggage wrapping service. Right, maybe we should invest on that. You would have partnered with us, Evan? God, that's so crazy, huh? And we have another...
Chris, Mr. Charming.
Chris, Mr. Charming.
Thanks for joining us.
Also joining us.
But it's about time for us to go.
Yeah,
right?
like what I said, if you were not able to start this from the beginning, hopefully this is recorded completely. You can still watch the recording of this. And thank you so much for joining us tonight. And thank you for watching the videos. We're so happy that you are enjoying the videos. And we're so thankful that you are sharing the videos with others. We're happy to know that they're entertaining you, they're helping you, they're inspiring you, and in any way that in any way that they are informing you, educating you. We're just happy to hear all these great, feedback from all you guys. And again, our endless thanks to your dearest Patreon family. And even if we don't say your name one by one, you know who you are. God bless you all.
And like in the next day or two, I'll have a video talking about how we were victimized by a thief. And I think you guys are going to like that. Got lots of videos on this channel for you to enjoy. And we got so much good stuff coming up for you. And we have some good surprises for you. So stay tuned for that. And thanks to listening to us for this long. I'm going to go take a shower now. You have a good day or a good night wherever you are in the world. Bye.